Thank you for calling Costume Craze. How can I help you today?
Costume Craze started out as an experiment. We were going to be a software company, actually. My brother Matthew is a computer programmer, and he created some software for internet retail companies to use to get better rankings on search engines without paying for pay-per-click advertising. It was just Matt and I, and then we brought our mom Kathleen in, and the three of us were going to get the software company off the ground. But before we could actually do that, we needed to make sure that the software actually worked, because it was really just a theory about the way Google chose who gets up to the top of the search listings and who's at the bottom. So we chose monk robes and Jedi robes as our test product. And yeah, we were really surprised about how well they sold. So we thought, yes, it's going to be a hit. So then we started, working on selling the software. One thing led to another, and we realized, why are we spending so many resources trying to sell the software when we already have a kind of booming, business selling these costumes? At that time, we only had maybe 12 products. But that first Halloween, there was 22 orders on our biggest day. I was bouncing off the walls. I was so excited. And I remember I called Kathleen and Matt and I said, oh my gosh, I wish I had a camera here because the trunk is almost full, and that was one of the key points to deciding to switch from selling software to selling costumes. From there, we decided that one of the things that we really needed to do was increase our product line. For example, at that time, we were really doing just robes. We had Harry Potter robes and Lord of the Rings robes and Jedi robes and those types of things, but we really needed to expand the product line, and then from there, kind of the rest is history. We just grew and grew, and then we really literally grew out of our house. Our first year, our biggest day, we had 22 orders and just one employee, really, that was me. And then the following year, working out of our house, I believe we had 8 employees, and our biggest day was 700 orders. I remember that day because the FedEx guy was on our driveway for over an hour scanning each individual package. Anyway, so then we moved into our first warehouse, and we were thinking, ooh, 11,000 square feet, that's a lot, because the house that we're moving out of here is only 3,000 square feet. But we thought, okay, let's do it. 11,000 square feet will be enough for several years at least. So by the end of the following year, though, we had really grown out of that. Then we moved into a 20,000 square foot warehouse, and we thought, for sure, this is as big as we're ever going to need. This is huge. And then that only lasted for 1 year. Well, looking back on it now, I can smile about it, but at the time it was total disaster. We had 24 40-foot pod containers out in our parking lot. It was crazy. We moved out of that warehouse and we moved into our current warehouse, and the one we're in now is about 60,000 square feet. I think we can really say this time that this is it. We're not going to have to move again, because behind the warehouse we own 4 acres behind here, so we're good to go for many years. In 2008, we had about $8 million in revenue that year, and then in 2009, we had just over $10 million in revenue, and we shipped out 240,000 orders for the year. And then in 2010, we expected to be closer to 300,000. And revenue is going to be well over 12 million. But as we grew, we learned, and then we just continued growing, and we're coming up on #1 in the industry. So. In our industry, you have to go to the movies, you have to pay attention to what's going on in Hollywood, you have to watch what's happening in the political world, because, we could have predicted the 2008 election based on the number of Obama masks that we sold.
Change has come to America.
Yeah, you just have to pay attention to what's going on in the trends, what's going on in the world. If we hadn't been paying attention to, the news and, David Letterman, various things like that, then when Britney Spears shaved her head, we might have lost out on a lot of sales for bald caps. Anyway, so yeah, it's very, very fun industry. It's always changing. There's trends, and people want to be Harry Potter this year, and then next year they're going to want to be Iron Man, and then the next year they're going to want to be Spider-Man, and everything, it's constantly changing, constantly evolving, so we're never really doing the same thing twice. It's a lot of fun. I have a theory that companies who get venture capital never do as well as they could have if they didn't. And the reason I say that is because when you don't have to penny pinch and save and work really hard on your efficiencies, you get maybe a little bit lazy, and you assume that there's always going to be money there to do things. But if you're working off of really the sweat of your brow, then you work really hard and you work hard on those efficiencies. And as you grow from beginning to end, it's always going to be important to save money everywhere you can. We insist on buying everything that we can used. When something used doesn't exist, then we're not going to buy it brand new probably. We're going to build something ourselves. So a great example of that is our picking carts. So here's some of our UPS carts. The picking carts that they use in other warehouses are probably $400 or $500 a piece. And we have over 100 of these picking carts in our warehouse. So do the math, that's quite a bit of money, just in carts. So what we decided to do, we buy $15 furniture dollies from Home Depot, and then we buy these fairly inexpensive, maybe $40 shelving units, and then we attach the furniture dolly to the shelving unit, and now we've got a rolling cart. Why spend $500 if you can spend $75 and get something that works just as well? There's always a way to produce the same, if not better, results with less money.